Hey there. Hope that you're having a wonderful day so far. It's been a beautiful day here. Peaceful, sunny, windy, and my allergies are kicking. But nevertheless, it's a wonderful day. Today, what I've been studying is on Mishle, which is Proverbs 31. And behind me, I have my lovely chalkboard. So, what is very for lack of better words, just amazing is that in Proverbs, what we know as the Virtuous Woman passage, verses 10 through 31, each verse starts with or corresponds with the Hebrew alphabet. So it starts in verse 10, it starts with Aleph, which is the beginning, and it goes all the way through 31 to the last letter of the alphabet, which means the Ta. So the beginning and the end. And it's super just amazing that it has like meanings to it that are deeper than what you just read on the page. So not only is it speaking of, say, a woman or a female per se in the physical, but also as the bride to her bridegroom, right? As we're married to Mashiach, which is Messiah. And it's also, it's the words of Lemuel, a message which his mother taught him. So I just wanted to share my study with you, and it's by no means a complete study. It's just what I've studied, right? And just wanted to pass it along. All right, so we're going to start in verse 10. In verse 10, it starts with Aleph, which can stand for an ox, strength, or leader. It's the beginning, okay? Who finds a capable wife? For she is worth far more than rubies. Well, who finds a capable wife? The bridegroom finds a capable bride, okay? A strong leader in Yahuwah. He can find a capable wife, right? You're going to be equally yoked, or that's what the goal is, to be equally yoked. Rubies are a precious stone consisting of corundum and a color of varieties. It's a very deep crimson or purple pale rose. It's a rare type of sapphire, in which we read that sapphire is what surrounds Elohim's throne. It can also represent wisdom and beauty. Next, we have verse 11. It starts with Bet, which means house. So we take it house of creation, and it says, the heart of her husband shall trust her, and he has no lack of gain. So at the house of creation, a duality. Everything in creation was created in pairs, right? A woman was made for a man, a bride for her bridegroom, which was Mashiach, which is Messiah. She is the heart of her husband, and he shall trust her. The soul is housed in a body within our heart, right, in righteousness. The husband, he does not need to use indirect and unlawful courses to get wealth by cheating or oppressing. He is fully satisfied and trusting. The husband provides everything we need. Next is verse 12, which is the Gimel. Okay, and that it has different meanings, but I wrote prod right here because of what it says in the beginning. But it says, she shall do him good and not evil all the days of her life. So she, the bride, is consistent in her conduct towards her husband, always pursuing his best interests in the good and the bad, promoting his honor and glory to the uttermost, desiring to serve him in everything, in righteousness. She is steadfast, always abounding in his work. In verse 13, it starts with Dalet, which can be a tent, a pathway, or a doorway. It says, she shall seek wool and flax, and with delight she works with her hands. So when you think about like physical, mixing garments by art of man are polluted. The vessel in which spinning work was put and used for mixing right? It can be polluted by putting those two materials together. But the fear of Yahuwah, through humility, faith, hope, and love, we are a new man, per se, to put on new garments. We take delight in doing Yahuwah's work by honoring him, doing it cheerfully. His commandments or instructions are not grievous for us. We're to do it with a cheerful heart because of the love we have for him and the love that he has for us. Verse 14 starts with Hey, which is the second and last letter of Yahuwah's name, YHWH, and it can stand for be, lo, behold. And it says, she shall be as the ships of Tarshish. She brings in her food from afar. So like a navy of ships crossing the seas to go to foreign parts and come back laden with rich goods, so the bride of Mashiach, just Messiah, like ships that are billows. Like ships that have difficult or dangerous passages, tossed with tempests, covered with billows. Mashiach, I can't read my own handwriting. Being our pilot, faith our sails, and hope the anchor, we are able to weather seas, ride out all storms, come home safe. Bringing food from afar, like Egypt, example, corn for bread, right? They fetched and carried it in ships to diverse parts of the world. We, as the bride, bring good news, that hidden manna from the Shamayim, which is the heaven, and the bread of life, which is our Messiah, Mashiach. Verse 15 starts with a vav or a wa, and that can be a nil, a peg, okay, or an add, like an add-in word. All right, it says, she also rises while it is still night and provides food for her household and a portion for her girls. So in Mark 1:35, a reference is as Mashiach rises to pray while it's still dark, right? We're to be ready to show affection for family, care of children, zeal for a husband's interests, ministers of the word, stewards in the family, and have food for it put into their hands to dispense, right? So to nourish others so that they can dispense it throughout, right? All over. 16 is Zion, which in this context is a plow. She shall consider a field and buy it. From her profits she shall plant a vineyard. Fields are scriptures, which are hid, the rich treasures of instruction and promises. Scriptures are for instruction in righteousness, reproof, and correction. When we plow, plant seeds, and someone waters and harvests, right? Verse 17, Chet, which can be a tent wall, a fence, or a separation. She shall gird herself with strength and strengthen her arms. So it's showing readiness to do every good work with cheerfulness, spirit, and resolution. She does all she can find to do with all her might, not in her own strength, but in the strength of Mashiach. Strength and vigor are like the girdle which she binds around her waist. It's putting up a wall and separating herself from the world. Okay. 18 is Tet, which in this context I put basket. Like I said, they have many meanings. She shall taste when her gain is good. Her lamp does not go out by night. So to grow rich in merchandise with wisdom through Mashiach, which is Messiah, our journey may be attended with trouble and danger, yet profitable. So we aren't discouraged, and we continue to pursue them. Glorious light of the gospel, which continues to burn in the darkest times. We're not even idle in the dark, always ready to do his work. Verse 19 starts with Yod, which is the first letter of our Creator's name, Yahuwah, and his son, Yeshua. Yod is also the smallest letter in the Hebrew alphabet. It means hand or work or stretch out the hands. She shall stretch out her hands to the distaff, and her hand shall hold the spindle. So her hand shall hold the spindle. The spindle is laid hold on by the right hand and turned around. The hands hold the rock, stick, or staff in which the wool is wrapped, spun, and held in the left hand, but only spun with the one hand. So to spin garments like a web, right? Always spinning, always willing to help someone. Verse 20. She shall, kaf. Kaf means an open palm, okay? She shall extend her hand to the poor, and she shall reach out her hands to the needy. So an open palm reaches to many and at a distance. It is done with cheerfulness and readiness, giving spiritual food to those poor in spirit, spiritually poor and needy, who hunger and thirst for righteousness. It's to sympathize and have compassion. Verse 21 starts with Lamed, okay? Lamed, toward. It can have many meanings, but I put toward, okay? She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household is dressed in scarlet, so that her family should suffer through a cold season, but are covered in the robe of Mashiach's righteousness. He is a shelter in the time of trouble, the scarlet and the crimson, emblem of Mashiach's blood. The shanim, which is a Hebrew word to shan, the colors to absorb and retain heat, as white as to repel it. It's being made of wool, the garments would be warm as well. Verse 22, Nem, which means water. She shall make tapestry for herself. She is dressed in fine linen and purple. So in the physical would be like furniture, ornaments for the bed, etc. Well, to signify the ordinances and administration of the gospel and the beauty in them, dress suitable for the bride, not her own natural clothing, but because she did nothing to deserve it. But what Mashiach, the bridegroom, has clothed us with, the very best wedding garment that will last forever. Okay. Verse 23 starts with Nun, which is the seed, fish, or life. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. The husband of a virtuous woman, Yeshua, is the bridegroom of the bride, which is the church, assembly, or believer. He is loving and kind. He is known of by the bride, the assembly of saints. His name is celebrated in Zion. They will know you by your fruits. Verse 24, Samek, which is the hand on a staff. She shall make fine linen and sell them. She shall give girdles for the merchants. She not only seeks wool and flax to spin, but makes it up to fine linen, which she disposes of to the advantage of herself and her family. It's divine instruction, teaching of the gospel, freely giving as it's freely received, and being ministers of the word and the girdle of truth. 25 starts with ayin, to see or experience. Strength and splendor are her garments, and she rejoices in time to come. So the strength of mind, she is the weaker vessel, but stronger in him, and is able to bear and do all things because of him. She is a witness of what he can and is doing in and through her. Verse 26 starts with pay, which is to speak. She shall open her mouth with wisdom, and on her tongue is the Torah of kindness. So discreet and prudent manner, speaking not of foolishness or trifling things, but things of importance and useful to others concerning wisdom. We don't let foolish, corrupt, filthy communication proceed out of our mouths, but that which is edifying, okay? Which is spread instruction of love, kindness, and truth. 27 is Sadi, to desire, oversee, and watch. Okay, she watches over the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. So she oversees and watches the business of her household, domestic affairs, making sure her children have, physically have like food and clothing, but that they follow in Yahuwah's instruction, watching their conversations and character. We labor for the meat and the bread, which strengthens man's heart and refreshes his spirit. The bread of life. The bread of life, which is our Mashiach, our Messiah. Verse 28 starts with Kuf, which can be a sun on the horizon or behind. Her children shall rise up and call her Baruch, which is blessed. Her husband, and he praises her. As olive plants are on her table, grow up to maturity of age and ripens of judgment, they rise up in reverence and respect of her, blessed with spiritual blessings in Elohim. He praises her for her beauty, but she owes it all to him. Dress and garments, they are his own, and her faith, love, humility, though they are his gifts to her. Right. Verse 29, Resh, which can be a head or a person. Many daughters have done nobly, but you have risen over all of them. So there are many false doctrines or teachers who you can refer to their mother as the harlot. They've done works, but because you have followed him in instruction and truth, where they've just done works, they may do many virtuous things externally and have a form of godliness, but without the power of it. She taught truth, and with purity of heart, she persevered until the end. Verse 30 is Shin, which can be eat, consume, or destroy. Loveliness is deceptive and prettiness is vain. A woman who reveres Yahuwah is to be praised. So a well-favored look, graceful countenance, symmetry and proportion of parts, natural or artificial beauty are vain and deceitful. Oftentimes under them lies ill-natured and a depraved mind. Looks can fade, consumed away by illness, old age or death. Vain and deceit are favor and beauty. Artificial paintings like of Jezebel, the whore of Rome, all her deckings, ornaments, and gaudy pomp. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. We're to follow his instructions. And last we have verse 31, which is the Ta, or the Tav, which is the end, right? The beginning is the Aleph, the end is the Tav, which is the mark, sign, or covenant. And it says, give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. So we think of the fruits of the Spirit that include faith, hope, love, humility, and patience. She's to be praised in the gates where her husband is known, which is the bridegroom, or Mashiach. All praise and honor are his, and everything she does, it should be to the praise of his glory, that all may know him through her witness. I hope that made sense. And like I said, it's just a study that I was doing. As I'm always saying, study to show yourself approved. This is just my current understanding of it. You know, as you study and meditate on his word, you grow and mature and really understand where it's not just words on a page, where most of us will look at that and say, okay, that's about a virtuous woman and her like character traits that make her that way, but it has dualities. So as we are the bride to our bridegroom, it has more meaning to it. So I hope that helped you, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Shalom.